My mouth is numb.
All right. So I've hit the recording button. So then, of course, we go into the usual, like the opening credits, that kind of stuff. Um, so, all right, let me look at the camera. Get that going right over there. And welcome everyone to our second installment of our mid-sprint check-in. Again, we'll introduce ourselves. I am Matt Potecker, the senior project manager of Froglet Games, and next to me is Grace.
Hi, I'm Grace Carpenter. I'm the art director slash art person, wherever they need me.
Garrett Milliron, CEO.
Great, and so we're catching up with what we've done since the last episode. A lot has taken place. We've got a lot of stuff done, and I'm really excited to jump into it. I want to go ahead and get Grace. I want to get your take on it first in terms of what you've been working on.
Yeah, so Garrett and I have been meeting every Wednesday or so, just kind of going over what kind of feedback we've been getting. And the biggest thing in terms of QA and just like player testing and internal testing has been like visual noise. There's a lot going on when like when the biome gets like really like filled up and tense. It's kind of hard to see what you're doing. So we were trying to figure out how to deal with like foreground background issues. And just for like a quick, let's see what's going on, I had this thought of like, when stuff is further away, it gets darker. And so we decided to make a shader. It's my dog. She's smacking stuff. Miss Nina. All right. Well, yeah. She says hi. So when I was thinking about it, I was like, further on in the background, like landscapes and stuff, things get bluer, but they also get darker. And since this is like a version of space, what if we have it that where where stuff gets darker the further you go away from it, and lights up when you go towards it. So basically, you'd only have the visual information that you'd need in order to like get out of the way real quick for blocks. So Garrett hooked that up. Thank you for liking my idea. So Garrett hooked that up real quick, and it turned out that it had this like really beautiful effect of like your ship was bringing this cell to life and all these blocks to life and interacting, and it was like really cheap and simple, and it really did make a difference. And it ended up inspiring a lot of other changes, which Garrett can tell you about as I handle my child.
That's a good idea.
Sure. Yeah. No, it was fun because sometimes there's a lot of good ideas that are thrown around all the time, and not all of them can be prototyped in like a couple minutes. So that was pretty fun, and then paid immense dividends over and over. And we were saying like, wow, we could have done this years ago. Like we should have done this in Tail Glider. This is great because there's the screenshot was a really nice moment to provoke it, because then you lose all that parallax information. So when you're actually moving around, you see the background moving slower than the foreground. So you have enough to really like decompose the 3D environment and understand what's going on. But when you take a screenshot, you lose all that movement information. So I guess the screenshot was the real driver. But now that we've added that information that does feel like lighting, it adds so much to the scene, and it makes your brain work a lot less hard to figure out the depth of things. So then we started with light, and that was fun because we actually already had something like that in the game, where the further you are from the crystal, the brighter it gets. So that it's easy to find this like thing that's kind of like releases your ultimate power. But people would still say it's hard to find the crystal. And I'm like, I'm making that thing really bright, but the whole environment was really bright. So now when the crystal gets brighter, so all I did was take that logic we already had from the crystal and just kind of flipped it and made it so that the blocks get darker instead of brighter. And so just applied that to the blocks. And now when one's getting brighter and one's getting darker, now you can really find the crystal. So that was great. It also just, it makes the background, it's kind of almost like a bokeh effect, where like instead of the background getting blurry, it's getting, darker. And then we leaned into it, and we made it so that, the blocks already have this shader so that they open up as you get, the shader itself makes all the surfaces open up and reveal this like brighter color on the inside. So now what we're doing is we're making the inside kind of start matching the outside with distance, and then also make those blocks close up. So now I can actually shortcut both of those things. So once they've completely sealed up and become dark, now I don't need to do any of that. I can bypass it. So over a certain distance, the whole environment becomes computationally cheaper. So it's like we're paying more for things up close, but paying less for them far away, and hopefully that balances out computationally. But the effect is, yeah, really, simulates lighting and like causes the environment to like come alive as you come near it, which is really quite fun. We'll have to show that. And then maybe a week later, we encountered an issue where we said we need to spruce up the serpent character and give it like these give its wall these danger blocks, and that provoked us to say, well, okay, then danger blocks need to be colored, and danger should be more like a status effect. And how do we communicate to players this status effect where we have this danger color, but then we also have this team color? What do we do here? And so we decided to put the team color on the outside and the danger color on the inside, and then combined with this other effect. It's really neat. So far away, these blocks are, oh, there's a bunch of team blocks, and then as you get closer and fly, they open up, and oh, danger. So it has, it's been making all these fun little discoveries, beyond the design. It's been great.
Great. A couple other things that we've talked about earlier is that you also mentioned like getting a chance to implement the daily rewards and the daily challenges.
That's right. Yep. So Isaiah has, we've got in the store, we've got daily rewards now, and that's gonna give you an arcade ticket, which will allow you to then play the daily challenge. So everybody gets like 2 tries on the daily challenge, and it'll be a random arcade game each day, and then it'll have we have a shared leaderboard now. So anybody who plays the game each day. So I'm hoping, we'll release that internally, but I'm hoping just like internally we all start competing on the leaderboard for the mini game of the day. That'd be great. So we haven't released that build. Yeah, but yeah, that's the hope. But the other fun thing we got, it was a fun discovery when you fly around with the serpent. So we've had these self-assembling walls, and they kind of steal things in their vicinity and morph them into blocks that can be pulled into its wall. And then we finished the gyroid plant. So that was a fun discovery. When you fly near the gyroid plant and steal the blocks in the vicinity, it kind of takes like the dual of the structure and turns it from these like triangle patterns to these honeycomb. So that was a fun discovery that we saw a while ago, but now I think that's like a good way of showcasing the difference between this fun stuff happening in the foreground that you can now like see and not be distracted by all that stuff in the background.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun to go through and try with all that stuff. And now that there's the daily challenges and and more importantly, the leaderboard, I think we need to start going ahead and have like weekly call outs for the top of the leaderboards.
That's right. Yeah. Well, and he already added another leaderboard so if you're like number 1, then you get maybe 3 points, and then if you're number 3, you get 1 point, and so 2 points for number 2, and then those points will get accumulated, and there'll be a leaderboard there for like who's been at the top of the
overall. Okay, yeah.
Meta leaderboard. Yeah.
The leader of the leaderboard.
There you go.
And the last thing I was going to mention, do you want to talk about what you mentioned in terms of like meeting with other people in the industry and the recruitment on it, since we are still basically getting our staff together, and we're still sort of going through the very early stages of building the company and building the game?
Yeah, I mean, we just had a recruitment push to try to find some 3D modelers to help the team in that area, and that was awesome. I'm just so grateful for all the people that reposted it, and including Ayla at Cave Bear Studios, and she literally lives up to the hype. I've heard nothing but great things about her, and I think she's just really risen and done incredible things in such a short period of time, and I think it's just shows the power of sincerity. So I really want to allocate some Froglet time to supporting what she's doing with the this partnership network, and if we can start adding resources. I mean, we've started to figure out a lot of really valuable things, our onboarding process, the legal structure that we've had to figure out in order to pay equity. All these studios don't need to keep colliding with the same problems and then paying to solve them individually. If we can start giving away the resources that will help other studios, we'd love to. So
yeah, no more.
That's exciting.
No more reinventing the wheel.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I think there's this movement happening right now, the indie revolution, they call it. And I really hope it doesn't just fizzle before that momentum can turn into something. And I'd love to see all these people scorned by the, the industry at large actually band together and do something really great that that I don't know has a but the potential to grow into something that like sustains integrity. And so one of the things we'll be starting with is talking about like best practices where studios can kind of pledge to follow this format where if you have people who are volunteers, they're not really volunteers, they're sweat equity team members, investors, and you're giving them equity in return. And if you have if you can afford a contract, then make a well-framed ask, and if you can afford a salary, then budget that for 2 years, and then if you don't have the budget to continue it a year later, then the employee knows, and a layoff isn't a surprise to anybody. And just those simple pledges, I think we can create probably a network and job posting boards that say something like, hey, if you have a salaried position you're willing, that you actually have the budget for 2 years, then we'd have be happy to use the network in order to help you find that job, etc.
I love looking forward to those days. um, with that in mind, let's go ahead and turn our attention towards the future here. We've got now like another like a week and a half or so before the end of this sprint, and of course we got a lot more planned beyond that. But for the end of this sprint, what are the two of you looking at doing? Let's start with like Grace. What's on your agenda for the rest of this upcoming sprint?
Mainly FX, so particle effects and a mix of like the FX system and just trying to get some polish onto our ships, mainly through like jets or exhaust, that kind of stuff. Hopefully something that's reactive.
We talked about that in the last one. Like, have you had a chance to kind of get back into Unity and start tinkering around in that again since we last chatted?
A little bit. Garrett's been really nice in helping me, like getting back into code. It's been a bit of a gap for me. But I went through some of my old ones, kind of like remembering how I was be able to build those, and so it's a little slow going, but it is still like really fun and exciting. I forgot how fun Unity is.
I have some very exciting news for you.
Yeah?
We went through like Iggy's library of asset packs, and
yes,
just looking
those
for
are so
information.
helpful.
And we found one that really has a lot of nice stuff to learn from. It's doing like weird warping effects that I don't know how they do, and things like that. And so we were looking and seeing like, well, how much can we deconstruct these? We don't want to just drop an asset in, probably. Everything that we do is so like bespoke to our style. So how can we learn from these things and like massage them into our style? And the answer is definitely yes. And when Ig was investigating that and confirming that, he kind of discovered there was an epiphany there where it was like, oh my gosh, we can like particle effects can actually not you don't just have to feed an image into there that gets billboarded or something. You can feed a material in there that has its own shader. So everything that we've been doing with shaders and all that shader magic, it's not like mutually exclusive with effects magic. We can actually have the shaders pulling their weight on top of the effects. How cool is that?
That is awesome.
So many doors. Yeah. So that's exciting. And so I think we're going to have a lot of fun with that in the coming days. And there was one more thing. But yeah, I'm still working on Worm, basically. But
so like is that what else you've got left on your plate for the rest of the sprint? Is just the Worm and the effects aspects?
Those are the highest priorities. I've been there's really exciting movement in a lot of different areas. So I find myself really like kind of supporting a lot of folks right now. So I haven't had a ton of time for my own async stuff, but that's always a good sign. Like when I'm doing, when my async work goes down, that means like there's a lot of teamwork going on. So, yeah, but I'm hoping to carve off some time for Worm for sure, and made some great progress there. It's splitting and they're growing, and it's doing a lot of the things we want it to do, just nowhere near ready for prime time. So I'm going to try to get the Worm like in shape so that we can use it in the trailer. That'd be great. And yeah, onboarding our new 3D modeler will be really exciting. I think she's going to be able to jump right into making the Sparrow. So really just hoping to click all the pieces together that are missing for the trailer.
Yeah. And for myself, again, looking forward to editing this video. I'm probably going to say that every single time, but I'm looking forward to doing that. But I'm also really looking forward to, like, as things are coming together again, getting the trailer going, but also starting some more side videos that will do a little bit more sort of like in-depth looks at different aspects of the game and different histories of the game. We can start going into more aspects of like the art direction, the lore, the types of the work that's being done within Unity. We can kind of give it more room to breathe in those kind of spots. So I'm looking forward to actually getting those up and running too. That's gonna be a lot of fun. And I'm also looking forward to going ahead and getting back into Unity myself, so I can start helping out more with the actual game design aspects of the classes and the levels and that type of stuff. So I want to start gearing up for that too. But all right, well done, everybody. Becoming professionals at this now.
Hey.
Thank you, everyone, for watching, for going ahead and joining us, and we will go ahead and see you in the middle of the next sprint.
Bye.
Down. Yeah, yeah. Rock, rock, rock.